In this video, we're going to discuss past participles. Here's a definition for past participle. Formed from a verb, a past participle is a word that can be used as an adjective or for verb tense. Okay, what do we mean by a word that can be used as an adjective or for verb tense? Well, it says a past participle is formed from a verb, so let's look at a verb. Here's our first one, to whisper. The past participle is whispered. So let's see how this word can be used as an adjective. Everybody heard the whispered answer. So this is an example of a past participle being used as an adjective. In this case, the past participle whispered is an adjective to the word answer. Next, let's look at verb tense. Jill got the question right because Sarah had whispered her the answer. Well, there's our past participle. And this time, it's not being used as an adjective, it's partnered with the word had to make a verb tense. In fact, it's one of the tenses in the past tense, and we will talk about that in a minute. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's take another verb. This time we'll take to write. And the past participle is written. So let's see how this word can be used as an adjective. The written word is everything. A short quotation by the poet John Drinkwater. Here we can see the past participle written being used as an adjective to modify word. Here's an example of it being used for verb tense. Sorrow lies like a heartbeat behind everything I have written. A quotation by the author P.L. Travers. Here you can see the past participle is paired with the word have to create a verb tense. Okay, let's clear that. Here we have one of the verbs we've just looked at, to whisper, and here we have the past participle. Here we have another verb, to play, and the past participle. To cross, and the past participle. To paint, and the past participle. Notice that these all end ed. So this is one of the ways of making a past participle from a verb. In fact, this is how the past participle is made for regular verbs. And all of these are regular verbs. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more complicated than that. There are some other regular verbs that require a bit more work than just adding ed. And here are two examples. To stop. You can see with this one, you need to double the last letter before you add ed. And to cry. And with this one, you need to change the Y to an I before you add ed. These are two common spelling rules for creating the past participles of regular verbs. There are other spelling rules, but these are two common ones, and all the spelling rules are on the website. So that's regular verbs. But remember, we also looked at to write, and the past participle was written. Now this doesn't have ed on the end. And look at this, to break. This has en on the end. Maybe that's the pattern. But what about this? To catch goes caught. And to make goes made. So you can see, they're well named. Irregular verbs are irregular. There is no pattern. Okay, let's get rid of those. Somewhat ironically, most of the common verbs in English are irregular. And here are 10 common irregular verbs. To be, the most common verb, has a past participle being. To come goes came. To get goes got in British English, but gotten in American English. To go becomes gone. To know becomes known. To say, said. To see, seen. To take, taken. To think, thought. To make, made. Now you can see that these are 10 very common verbs. We have a whole list of other irregular verbs on the website. So we've looked at past participles, and we've seen how they can be used as adjectives or for verb tense. And it's the verb tense bit that I want to look at now in more detail. There are 12 tenses, 4 in the past tense, 4 in the present tense, and 4 in the future tense. So let's look at them. Here are 3 major tenses: the past tense, the present tense, and the future tense. And here are the 4 aspects of those tenses. There are lots of videos and lessons and tests about the tenses on the website. But let's put them up for the regular verb to play. There they are. That is all 12. And the reason why I'm showing you these is because I just want to make the point that the past participle features in the perfect aspect. So these 3 tenses here in the perfect aspect column are the ones that use the past participle. Sometimes this is called the completed aspect, because this aspect of tense tells you that the activity has been completed. Notice that for a regular verb, like to play, that the past participle is identical to the simple past tense. And the ending is ed. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's put up an irregular verb, the verb to give. Now, it's still the past participle that features in the perfect aspect. That doesn't change. But notice that with most irregular verbs, and this is an example, the simple past tense and the past participle are different. And as you get to learn more about irregular verbs, you will start seeing these endings: a D, a T ending, an EN ending, or just an N ending. There are other endings, but these are the most common. Unfortunately, you just have to learn them. Okay, that was just for a bit of context to show you where past participles fit in with verb tense. This is probably a good time to talk about the 5 verb forms, and here they are. You have the base form, play. This is the version that appears in the dictionary. You have the S form, plays. This is the version that's used with he, she, and it in the present tense. Then you have the past form. This is used to form the simple past tense. Then you have the ing form. This is another type of participle called a present participle, and this form can also be used as an adjective and for verb tense. We have a whole lesson on present participles. And then we have the past participle form. And as we've covered, this is also used for adjectives and forming verb tense. So, that was a regular verb. Let's quickly throw up an irregular verb. So every verb has 5 forms. There are no other forms, just those 5. And this video has been about number 5, the past participle form. Again, that's just for a little bit of context. I want to leave you with this slide. Let's go back to the verb to write and its past participle, written. Let's put up the definition again. Formed from a verb, a past participle is a word that can be used as an adjective or for verb tense. So remember, this was our example of the past participle being used as an adjective. And then we had verb tense, and this was our example of a past participle being used in verb tense. There was something I didn't tell you at the start, and I'm going to tell you it now. past participles are also used for voice. More specifically, they are used to create the passive voice. And here is an example of the passive voice. The first song I recorded was written by my mother, a quotation by the singer Celine Dion. So here is our past participle. This verb phrase is in the passive voice. And the passive voice just means that the subject of the sentence is not carrying out the action. The subject of the sentence is having the action done to it. So this is the subject, and look, the action of the verb to write is being done to it. That is an example of the passive voice. Again, we have lessons and tests and videos on the passive voice. It's very closely linked to verb tense, which is why we left it till the end. But I do now want to change the definition. Formed from a verb, a past participle is a word that can be used as an adjective for verb tense or for the passive voice. This slide neatly summarizes what past participles are. You can pause this to remind yourself of everything we've spoken about. Don't forget that some past participles just add ed to the base form. But the past participles of irregular verbs are much harder to form. You just have to learn them. So good luck. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out some of our other videos on grammarmonster.com.